feel like the parent that says, you know what, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Hello everyone, my name is T Hunter. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. Before we get started with today's video, I did want to shout out this brand that I'm wearing, Little Miss Girlie. It is a crew neck sweatshirt. It is very comfortable, breathable. So it is fall, going into winter pretty soon. Wherever you are, you're going to need a sweatshirt. So I highly recommend Little Miss Girlie. I will put the Etsy shop information as well as their Instagram handle down below. The CEO, founder is Mallory Cunnington. She did an excellent job on this sweatshirt, and so just wanted to make sure that I showed her some love in today's video. Okay, so getting right into it. This is another reaction video, but instead of just focusing on one couple, I'm going to try to give my reaction to all 5 couples from this current season of Married at First Sight, season 13. They are based in Houston, Texas. So I guess the million-dollar question is, which couple do I want to start with first? I'm not going to go with the most evident one. You know what? Let's focus on Brett and Ryan. So Brett and Ryan, they have definitely been at a standstill in their marriage because Ryan is waiting for some type of, I guess, magical feeling, you know, the butterflies, the I just can't resist my wife feeling. And unfortunately, he has not reached that peak. And because he hasn't come to that moment of, this is just really gonna work because I'm just wildly attracted to my wife, they haven't been able to move past being cordial to each other. There's no passion, there's no intense romance, and that's okay. Everybody is not everyone's cup of tea. I get that. The problem is, this is a social experiment. It is 8 weeks long, and at the end of the 8 weeks, sir, you and your wife have to decide if you want to stay married or get a divorce. So if you are not attracted to her and that is an issue, that is an obstacle, of course, then you're going to be leaning towards the side of let's get a divorce as opposed to let's stay married and see where this can go. If we just give this a shot outside of the 8-week parameters for the social experiment. So when it comes to Brett, it's crushing to see this woman wanting to be married and wanting to even be married to her husband. Like, there's a difference between I want to be married versus no, I want to be married to you. She's willing to try. It's just they're not really giving each other anything to work with. They don't want to have these difficult conversations. They don't want to say these hard truths. They are definitely very cordial, as she has said. They're nice to each other and they want to spare each other's feelings. But in doing that, they're not being honest with each other, and therefore there can be no movement. It's like, okay, well, like they're rowing a boat. Well, I'm going to wait for you to call out the instructions. Okay, well, I'm going to wait for you to be ready for me to give you the instructions. Okay, so we'll just wait on each other. And no action is happening. No one's saying anything. They can't make any moves because it's like they're both afraid to make that first step and to say the very obvious. Okay, attraction might not be there for us as far as romance, as far as physical attraction. Would we want to try exploring what a marriage looks like as we grow physical attraction towards each other? I don't know. I think the hardest part was in watching this couple 2 weeks back when the couples were talking to the experts and having one-on-one conversations. And Brett met with Pastor Cal, told her to ask Ryan, ask him when he checked out of this marriage. And I was thinking, oh, I don't think that she wants to hear the answer to that. So therefore, she did not ask him that difficult question because the focus of that episode was to help the couples explore questions that they may still have about their spouse, unanswered questions. This past week, they went on a couples retreat And it's just awkward going on a couples retreat where maybe the expectation is everyone is in a good space or a good enough space to where you're sharing the same bed and sharing the same bedroom with your spouse, and that is clearly not the case for Brett and Ryan. And as difficult as it might have been to pretty much put their business out there, she wasn't pulling any punches when Ryan said, "Oh, we can share the same bedroom and sleep in the same bed." And Brett was like, "Skirt, whose bed are you sharing? Not mine. No, because we don't even sleep in the same bedroom at home, sir. Why are we going to sleep in the same bedroom at this ranch retreat? Is it to keep up appearances? Because I'm all good with just being 100% pure, unadulterated, honest. No, we're not sharing a bed because you and I are not in that space to do so." I think that might have been a huge step for Brett, and I definitely commend her for being honest, even though I'm sure that had to be difficult, had to be uncomfortable, might have even been hard to say, as well as hear herself say it back. Like, "No, husband, I do not want to share a bed with you." It is what it is. So Brett and Ryan, I don't know what's going to happen with them as far as decision day is concerned. Some people might say, "Come on, girl, of course they're going to say no." But come on, people who I believed would stick together have gotten a divorce, and people who I thought would say no ended up saying yes, and either they have had thriving marriages well past decision day, or they later ended up splitting up after saying yes. So we don't know. We'll know at decision day what's going to happen with Brett and Ryan. But kudos to them for at least starting to take steps in the direction of, let's just be completely honest with each other. Let's just open up this can of worms and see what happens and deal with whatever emotions, whatever thoughts, whatever comes from us just being honest, as opposed to us tiptoeing around each other and walking on eggshells and nothing ever gets resolved because we're not talking about anything at all in hopes of sparing each other's feelings. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because then they're going to internalize a lot of their feelings, and then negative emotions can start to fester, and then there's a big blow up. And I don't know whether you're on the receiving end or you are the person that is blowing up. And getting to those points, it can't be the greatest feeling. So I'm glad that they're finally starting to at least open the vents and air some of this stuff out. So that's Brett and Ryan, my take on them. Moving on to the next couple. Let's see. We'll go with Rachel and Jose. So I'm really leery about this couple simply because Jose definitely showed a side of himself that I can't say that I wasn't expecting, but I will say I wasn't expecting him to be so intense at the very first disagreement that he had with Rachel. So for those who have not watched the show, Jose and Rachel were having a conversation and she called him by another man's name. It just so happened to be that she referred to him as Johnny, which is another one of the grooms on this current season. But the way that Jose handled that, I would have thought that she referred to him by the name of an ex-lover in the moment of passion in consummating their marriage. Jose cussed her out and locked her out of the house. In the wee hours of the morning, Rachel could not get back in the house. And while he has apologized and she said that she forgave him, before the real apology happened, she went from saying, "I love my husband and everything's going well," to, "I do not love this man. I do not know who I am married to. Is this going to be my husband, or the person that you have shown me up until this point? Is that who you are? So who did I marry? Because I am seeing two totally different men at this point." So while they are in a relatively good space now, I am leery. Like, okay, I really hope that the conversation they had around conflict resolution. And Jose saying, you know, when I'm really frustrated, I'm really upset, really angry, I need space and time to cool off, because if I have to handle the situation and talk about it right then and there in the heat of the moment, I'm going to say things that I am not going to mean, and they're going to be hurtful. So if they can continue in that vein of, okay, what works best for us when we are not in agreement with each other so that we don't hurt each other, then yes, they absolutely do have a chance. It was upsetting to see Jose go smooth off on his wife, talk to her any type of way like she was a stranger on the street, like she was someone who stole his lunch money, versus someone that he took vows to love and to cherish and to protect, you know, till death do you part, in sickness and in health, you know. Like, where was the compassion, Jose? I guess he said, look, I got an 815 credit score. I got 2 houses. Like Rochelle from Everybody Hates Chris was like, my husband got 2 jobs. I got to take this. Like, that was the energy he was coming at her with. I got 2 houses. And you're not going to call me by somebody else's name. So you can just go ahead and get out. And I was like, whoa. Like, we went from, this is my wife. I love feeding you. I love caring for you. I will take care of you. And you will never have to want for anything, to get out of this apartment that I do not pay for because I'm so angry with you right now. So I know we should not hold grudges and we should not live in the past. However, I do believe that if we do not learn from our history, we are doomed to repeat it. That is not my quote. That is someone else's. So no plagiarism here. I'm not taking credit for that quote. But I am a firm believer that patterns, we have to pay attention to them. So as long as they are willing to continue working towards, hey, what do we want our marriage to look like? And as long as Rachel can continue speaking up for herself and saying, this is how I need you to show up for me in order for me to trust that you are going to be my husband as opposed to be daddy number 2. I need you to speak to me respectfully. And Jose, I need you to give me space when I am frustrated so that I don't say something that you would feel disrespected by. As long as they can keep those lines of communication open and then put the work into action, as it seems that they have been doing, then okay. Just, we know that there is room for pettiness. And if Rachel feels that he's being vindictive and he's being malicious, she can easily say, you know what, this is not the type of marriage that I want to be in, and rightfully so. Moving on to the next couple. Who should I choose? You know what? Let's put the lovebirds who are doing well smack dab in the middle. And it's not that they are perfect, because Gil and Mirla, that's the next couple. It's not that they are perfect at all. No one is. But I believe, I shouldn't say but, because that cancels everything else that I said in the beginning. Okay. Gil and Mirla, this couple, they are not perfect because no one is. However, I do believe that they are an excellent match together, because Mirla knows that there's a certain way of life that she likes to live. She likes to shop, not to the point of breaking the bank, because she said that she pays off her credit card every month and she has a substantial savings. She was painted as, you know, the picture perfect princess. And so I was thinking, okay, is she going to be the type of wife that's more of a trophy wife? I like to look good and I will make my husband look good with me on his arm. But no, Mirla actually has substance to her. And while she may have come across or have been painted as stubborn in the very beginning, and that could have been editing with the show, I'm seeing her as someone who is strong and resilient and who stands in the truth of who she is. So she's not going to water herself down, and she's not going to become another person in an effort to keep someone around. Instead, the changes that I have seen Mirla take on are as a result of her being loved the way that she wants to be loved by Gil. So Gil had, you know, he was able to crack jokes and they're able to banter with each other in a healthy way and able to, you know, recognize, okay, My wife is very particular, as Gil said, and Mirla was able to recognize my husband, he's not as particular and he's very patient. And I need someone to be patient with me because I am a particular person, and perhaps I do like my life to look a certain way, and that is not for everyone. Everyone is not going to be able to say, you know what, I want a spouse who is very particular. And Gil even acknowledged at some point, if it wasn't this episode, the week before, he said the younger version of himself would not have been ready for his wife and would not have been able to make this marriage work because he would not have been ready for her. And I always think that that is an awesome, awesome reflection when we can acknowledge, you know what, at 20 years old, the person that I thought I wanted to marry might not have been the person that I needed to marry. Come on, we all have a type. And I believe that a lot of reasons why some of these people would sign up for a show like Married at First Sight or even any other social experiment where they are going to be matched with someone, be it in marriage or in dating, they might be looking at it as, you know what, I don't do the best when it comes to choosing a lifetime partner. I haven't done the best in choosing a good person to date. So let me surrender the control of getting everything that I say that I want and think that I need over to someone who's able to say, you know what, you might be a better match for someone who is patient, because you require a lot of patience because you are slow moving when it comes to love. You're not jumping right in and just giving everything and trusting blindly and trusting freely. You need some time. So then we match you with someone who's patient, you know, as an example. And that example has worked so well with Mirla and Gil. Her being someone who is strong and confident and someone who has said, you know what, my lifestyle before was someone who came from poverty. So now that I have the money to be able to take care of my needs as well as have money left over to splurge, I want to treat myself, because that wasn't always the case for me. Yet Mirla is also able to listen to Gil's wants and needs, and him saying, you know, in order to stay in this marriage, I want to feel wanted. I need to be desired. Girl, you got to give me more than just a peck on the cheek if we're going to stay together past decision day. And her being able to acknowledge, okay, so you need a kiss. You need me to want you and to show you that I want you, not just lip service, but for the actions to line up. Okay, I can work with that because you've been patient with me and you've given me everything that I need and I want. So I can do the same for you, working together as a team. And even when they give each other constructive criticism, they don't take shots at each other in those moments of vulnerability. And I can so appreciate that, because it's easy when tempers are high and emotions are running high to go into self-protection mode, and as a result, now you are throwing jabs at any and everybody, including the person that is supposed to be in your corner. The illustration of a boxer, you're fighting in the ring and you're also fighting in the corner. And if your spouse is supposed to be in your corner, you're not supposed to be fighting your spouse. But in the case of marrying a stranger, I can definitely see how that can happen. So it's great to see that Mirla and Gil are learning to work together instead of fighting against each other, just because some of their opinions and perspectives on life might be a little bit different. So kudos to Mirla and Gil. I think they are the couple that no one expected to be their favorites, but now they are a fan favorite, I think. So definitely happy for them. They are the examples that this social experiment can work if you put in the work and you're the type of person that this process works for, because clearly it doesn't work for everybody. And that's okay. The next couple that I will go to will be Johnny and Bao. I don't really have a lot of commentary as far as Johnny was concerned for this week's episode, aside from he really did hit the nail on the head when he said he didn't want to argue with Bao, so he was going to pretty much avoid her and spend as little time with her as possible during this entire retreat. And I thought to myself, oh, well, that is one way to handle conflicts. Just don't put yourself in a situation where one can arise, because he did not want to argue in front of the other couples. Got it. It was interesting, seeing him having a conversation with Brett, considering both of them are so dissatisfied with how this marriage process has gone. Like I said, Johnny pretty much decided he was going to be checked out as far as interacting with Val during the retreat. So like I said, don't really have much to say about him for this particular episode. I guess in a way, like, it worked out, because it's been hard watching him go from being very attracted to her to setting up this very romantic date while they were on their honeymoon, to express to her that he had feelings for her and he was attracted to her and really wanted to make this work, to him being so dissatisfied with her, disliking her so strongly that he would uninvite her to a family event. And it's like every week he finds a way to cut her down, finds a way to tell her that he's not attracted to her, and that was the reason why they did not date, despite knowing each other in college. And I really just wonder, what was his father like towards his mother before they got a divorce and he left and remarried somebody else? Because oftentimes the behaviors that we say we don't want to display and we don't want to execute are the very ones that we end up, carrying out, especially if we have seen them over and over and over again. And that ties into my reaction to Bao. Kudos to Bao, applause, high five, girl, empowerment, yes, all of it. Because she finally came to the realization that she was dishonoring a promise that she made to herself as a child when she witnessed her parents having a rough patch in their marriage, where perhaps her parents did not treat each other very nicely. As a kid, she said, you know what? I am not going to be in a marriage where someone disrespects me. I am not going to be with someone who mistreats me. I am not going to be with anyone who doesn't treat me in the manner in which I deserve to be treated, which I'm assuming is, loving kindness, respect, tenderness, compassion, understanding, all of those good things. Because everybody has their good days, but they also have bad days. And that's where the unconditional love, the compassion, the understanding, and the respect needs to come in for those tough days. It's easy to be nice to someone when you are getting along. But can you be nice? Can you be understanding? Can you be compassionate? Can you at least, at base level, show decent human respect to someone when you're not getting along? So, major props to Bao for coming to the realization that, hey, I didn't come to this process to be disrespected, to be mistreated, and to be cut down. And I don't have to be with someone who does any of those things. So it was awesome to see her say that, and not just come to that realization on camera in like a confessional, but to say it to the other wives, so that perhaps that would empower them as well. If you're ever feeling like in your relationship you're not being respected, you're not being treated well, go back to the promises that you made to yourself, where you're not going to be in any relationship, in any situation, where you just allow yourself to be treated any type of way and you shrink back and accept whatever is thrown out at you. Yes, Bao, yes. And the only thing that was missing, because I could tell that Brett was in agreement with her when she said all of those things, was a preach girl or an amen. So I'm going to say it. Preach, Bao, amen. It's awesome when you see people, men and women alike, come to that realization of, you know what, I deserve better than this. And I do not have to tolerate anything less than just the basic human respect. Can you just be decent? Can you be nice to me? Can you cut your losses and walk away without cutting me down in the process? That's it. Easier said than done. It takes a lot of emotional maturity to get there, to not cut someone down on the way out when you're realizing that things aren't working out the way that maybe you wanted them to. And I think it was last week, Bao made another good point, a good observation. Instead of taking ownership for Johnny's happiness. Like, oh, he's not happy because as a wife, I'm not making him happy. She said, Johnny is not happy because he does not want to be happy. Mic drop. Boom. It is what it is. Not just with Johnny. Some people really do not want to be happy. They self-sabotage when things are going too well. And then they will hold everyone around them to this standard of, well, it takes all of these things and some extra to make me happy. And if you're not doing all of these things and some extra, then, you know, it's just not going to work. And you can't be with someone who continually tells you this is the standard, and then they move the goalpost each and every time that you get to that baseline. That's crazy making. It's not going to work. So we will see what Bao and Johnny say on decision day, because she has been sticking it out and she has been taking God knows how many hits, and not physically, but perhaps, you know, just the comments. I can only imagine how that has made her feel. I can only imagine what that has done to her ego and, you know, positive self-esteem. Let me just say this before I move on to Michaela and Zach. Years ago, I don't remember exactly which preacher said it, but they said something like, you know, I'm like a Rolex. I take a licking and I keep on ticking. And the crowd was going wild. Yes, amen, preach, because they're looking at it like, oh, I'm resilient if I can take all these hits and still be here, still be alive, and still be standing. I'm sorry. At this stage in my life, and for however many days I have left, I don't want to be a Rolex. I don't want to keep taking licks just to be able to say, oh, I took them licks though, and I'm still here and I'm still ticking. I understand we all have to go through things, and some of us did come up the rough side of the mountain. However, don't subject yourself to emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, any type of abuse just to be able to say, well, look at all these shots that I took and all these blows that I took, and I'm still standing. After a while, you have to come to the realization of, how do I want to be treated? And why would I stay in a situation where, in order to prove that I'm a good wife, I'm a good husband, I'm a good person, that I have to take some form of abuse and stand up in the face of it in order to be seen as someone who should be respected as strong? Just ask yourself that question. Why do I have to take licks in order to be seen as someone who is reliable, someone who is resilient, someone who has strength, someone who has character? Because I don't believe that that's always the case. There are other character tests that don't involve being continually hit, punched, knocked down, dragged out, figuratively or literally speaking. So we are going to close out with Michaela and Zach. I feel like the parent that says, you know what, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And I feel like that hurts. That hurts a child worse when they're emotionally mature enough to realize, like, oh man, you know, I broke trust, or I disappointed you, I let you down. The reason why I am disappointed is because Black love, as well as any form of, like, you know, racial love, to me is important, because while it's great to see multi-ethnic families, it's also cool to see Black families. It's cool to see Asian families, white families, Latino families, you know, making it work. You love who you love. I'm not saying don't date outside your race at all. What I'm saying is, I came from a Black couple. So when I see a Black couple on TV, even if I don't know them, I'm rooting for them because they look like me. Like, it's nice to see that representation. I'm rooting for all the couples because I am someone who is going to root for marriage or over divorce. Healthy marriages, that is. So seeing how Zach and Michaela went through this process, you know, going back to, you know, the interviews during, like, you know, the matching special when they were choosing the spouses, how badly they both wanted to be married, especially Zach. Zach saying, I've been ready for marriage since I was 17. I've been saying I wanted a wife from this age. And his family saying, yep, we've had to hear about it for God knows how many decades. Thank the Lord they found somebody for this man so he can stop saying, I can't wait for my wife. I can't wait for my wife. So to see them in the state that they're in, it is disappointing because this process can work if you're willing to work it. I did not expect their interaction to stress me out the way that it did, but it did. Zach, him saying, you know, that Michaela triggers his anxiety, and his anxiety after the housewarming was as high as it was on the wedding day. Like, that was concerning to me. Michaela moving out because he didn't communicate to her that he was going to be at the dog groomers. So that when she woke up in the morning and she didn't see him, her moving out as a result of that. The self-protection as a result of her abandonment issues and them not being handled with care. For lack of a better word, it has sucked to see this play out the way that it has. And I don't know if the experts are counseling them one-on-one or if they set them up with individual counselors in addition to the marital counseling sessions that they're doing during the show. But I definitely hope so, because Zach and Michaela, they are both individuals who I believe can be amazing spouses, whether it's to each other or to other people. It's the back and forth that is so exhausting and disappointing to watch, where, you know, I was just feeling like, hey, like, you know, pick a stance and stay there. Are we going to be married and work on this relationship and be respectful of each other and do our inner work to make sure that we can be healthy to each other? Or are we simply going to say, you know what, this isn't working, we are toxic for each other? Kind of like the interaction with Will Smith and Charlize Theron, I believe that was her, in the movie Hancock, where they had to walk away from each other. Like, the best thing that we can do in order to preserve our mental health and to not tear each other down is for us to be apart. Like, pick a side and stay there, please. It was so difficult hearing Zach say, well, once we get a divorce, then we can work on the relationship and see if anything is there and perhaps we can get back together. And Michaela she flipped out, because it's hard when you are in any relationship, but especially a marriage, where the two are supposed to become one. And you have someone who is not giving you grace when you're trying to make changes after you've made a mistake. And you have someone who is saying to their people, this ain't gonna work, but they're saying to you, oh, it is gonna work and it's gonna be long term. That's why I would say it was disappointing. But it ain't over until it's over. So we will see what happens on decision day and afterwards, because there are twists and turns to marriage. We will see. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a future post. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.